Hey everybody, welcome back. So, as usual, I was posting my reels and one of my titles, I happened to say something about suck it, feminists. Because, last week I was at home making my husband a sandwich while filming a podcast, railing on feminism. And of course, a feminist lost her bloody mind. And since she brought up some of the common myths of feminism, we're going to address some of those today. So welcome back to the Green Eyed Girl podcast. I'm going to call this episode, Suck It, Feminists. So lovely individual in my comment section made sure to tell me that feminists of the 70s made it so that I got to be at home and make my husband a sandwich. That was lie number one. So this crazy 61-year-old woman clearly has been completely deluded by the government. And, most of us fell for kind of the same thing. We believed these myths of feminism, and we believed it was a good thing because it set us free, right? But the truth of feminism is it was a Bolshevik plot. The CIA is part of it. It's all a big lie to make men and women hate each other, because if the government doesn't have us all fighting against each other, we're not getting anywhere, right? But of course, there has to be the upsides. So one of the first was the right for women to go to college. Women were going to college. However, back then, instead of, the government getting you horrifically into debt and all of that, you actually had to pay for it. And it was a meritocracy, so you actually had to be worth your salt. So what feminism actually did was take spots away from men who actually deserve to be there and give them to women. And then, because there were so many people finally going to college, and we all know more women go to college than men, that's where we're at now. Who's got the most student loan debt? Yeah, that would be women. That would be women. And since the last administration was having to try to forgive loan debt, who holds the majority of that? Oh, that's right. So the government gets all of these loans given out, and colleges inflate their prices. Women, I know you don't understand this concept. You really should learn. It's great. Colleges and the government student loans collude. So the college can say it's going to cost this much, and the government says guaranteed money. And so over time, look at how much college costs. And sorry, ladies, you're not actually getting degrees that mean squat. You're not. The vast majority of you are not indeed engineers. Your education majors, your female studies majors, communications majors, and there's already too many of you in the marketplace, which means you don't get a job, which means you're all defaulting on your student loans. And you want those of us who actually are paying our student loans, because I got a degree worth of crap, you want me to pay for your debt. Because let me let you in on something. Debt doesn't just vanish, it transfers to someone else. Which means those of us with decent jobs who pay high tax rates, you're asking me to pay your loans. No. So this lady thought that that was a win, when the truth is we've simply diluted down education. We got the government involved. Now there's epic amounts of debt and usury going on, and we're nowhere further. We're just not. Because really, the honest truth is the very best and the very brightest women got to go to college and got to do these things. All they did was make women feel better about themselves by opening it up so that there were more, and then diluting everything and driving a wedge between men and women, because now women get an education and think that they are better than men somehow. They think they're better than a blue-collar man who actually builds society. So no, okay? So that's the first one. The second one is the right to choose when they get married. Yeah, that was indeed there before. There have been spinsters for all of history. We just now have so many more. So many more. And if you go back in my podcasts, I did one podcast on a chick who was like, I don't have to get a babysitter and I'm going out, blah, blah, blah. I'm 40 something and I'm going out. Yeah, guess what? She's now turned conservative because she realized she's been lied to. Now, she hasn't completely woken up out of the feminist dystopian nightmare that we live in. However, she started getting really bad baby fever and she realized, oh, yeah, I may have been lied to. So here's the thing. You could always choose. There's been spinsters throughout history. We just now have a very high percentage of them, and they're insufferable 61-year-olds in my comment section. So thank you for that. It's great. The next one was the right to have credit cards and bank accounts. Let me let you in on something. Women were allowed to have bank accounts, all right? Even back in the 50s. I know that's just shocking. If you worked, you could have a bank account. If you worked, you could get a credit card. The difference is this. You couldn't get it without your husband's name on it because he was the sole income of your household. And that shouldn't be confusing, okay? And now, let's just look at it now, okay? We can get credit cards. Woohoo! So you have a credit card, you get married, you rack up a bunch of credit card debt behind your husband's back. He doesn't know. You hide the credit card bills, but then when you get divorced, he's got to take half. Yay, feminism. Once again, men, women, divided. We're picking up a trend here, folks. Okay? You could always have these things. But women don't have great financial judgment. And that shows by the statistics. So statistically, yes, men carry more debt statistically. But their debt is better debt, okay? It's the mortgages and those kinds of things. It's the lower interest, longer term, family building debt. Women take out personal loans and credit cards. And they buy stupid crap. And they rack up a bunch of interest they can't afford. And then they sit on a bunch of student loans that they can't afford. They live outside of their means because they don't have a brain. Okay? Women are sitting on the vast majority of student loan debt. So that's who's begging for you to pay off their student loans, guys. Okay? It's one of the things I like about the Trump administration. They're actually garnishing people's checks for it, and so they should. I think there should be a benefit to it. I think if you stay paying for 2 years, I think your interest should be waived. So long as you're actively paying, your interest should be waived. Otherwise, it's usury, okay? I have paid the hell out of some debt. Okay, I came out with $85,000 in student loan debt when I graduated, and I've paid it way down. I would like the break on the interest rate, but I'm not going to get it, and that's fine. I'm just going to pay it off. But I actually ran the numbers of what I could be paid and what not. That's how I've gotten mine down, okay? But the credit card thing, we all see these street interviews with these chicks in Miami, right? They want these men who make all of this money because they are living so far above their means already. The expensive makeup, the expensive clothes, all of this crap. It doesn't mean anything. But it's all debt these women live with at 30% interest on a credit card. You're not buying good stuff. You're making stupid financial decisions because you don't know any better. So yay, feminism, we can do all this. We can be so deep in debt that we don't feel like we can ever get out of a hole. That's what I see. That's what I see on the daily, and that's what the statistics are showing. So men take out debt for things like homes and vehicles so that their wives can stay at those homes and raise their children. And women go buy a bunch of makeup and crap. Crap. Luxury goods. And they're in debt for them. I don't know about you all, but that doesn't make any sense to me. And yay, feminism. But yeah, they want us the right to be a stay-at-home mom or in a C-suite. Actually, no. The vast majority of women back in the 50s were stay-at-home moms. They weren't sitting around drinking wine and taking antidepressants every night. However, in this day and age, the vast majority of women are unmarried, non-virgins, who do a lot of antidepressants and wine. We all know the Xanax girls, right? You've met some of them. The depression rates now are sky high. That's what feminism has given you, ladies. So we can sit and we go, oh, feminism, we got all convinced that they did all these great... No, they didn't do these great things for us. They fought for women to have these things so that you could be a slave. Resist the slave mind. Okay? Wake up. Stop believing the myths of feminism. It's all a lie. It all got you nowhere, and it does nothing but get men and women fighting each other. Have respect for men, because even with your fancy college degree, the blue-collar guys I work around, they're smarter than you. I promise. I know, because I have 2 college degrees, and very valuable. But the smartest people I know and the smartest boss I ever worked for had a GED. Sorry, guys. Ladies, you got. Stop believing the lies of feminism. And feminists, if you're still buying into this, go suck it.